Recording in progress.
Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to this very special edition of MWR Live. Mike Randolph here coming to you directly from MWR's New England regional office. Before we get started today, I just want to remind everyone that this session is for the education and training of our marketing directors and members and is not intended for distribution to the public. Today's session will include information regarding our memberships and or our rewards and revenue sharing plan. Please be aware that any projections or testimonials shared today are for illustration purposes and are not intended to serve as a guarantee of results. For more information, please visit your back office through mwrfinancial.com. And with that, it's time to get started. We're going to go ahead and shut down this pesky screen share. I'm going to put my camera back on. You guys are going to be subject to this mug, and we have a special mug with us. We've got our expert, a resident expert on the Diversified Cash Flow Account, none other than the very illustrious Mr. Ike Munyello. Ike, thank you so much for being able to join us this evening. And I know you have lots to share, but I want to make this a little bit more conversational tonight, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And first, I want to ask you, why is it that we should even be listening to you? What makes you an expert? What's your experience in dealing with this area of financial services?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike. And I guess it's mistakes. You know, mistakes help you learn. So you should listen because learn from my mistakes. I started out my career, for those who don't know me, I started my career as a professional basketball player. And you know, whenever you start life with an inflow of money and you've never had, you don't keep it. And I remember my first few years in Portugal, I was running through $400,000 and $500,000 as fast as possible. And one day on my way out, before I was headed to France, my banker asked me to stop by his office, and I stopped by, and he said, "Hey, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money, but I just want to let you know there's a vehicle that even if you want to continue to spend your money, there's a vehicle that you could put this money into, still have access to it, and be able to continue on, and you'll be able to recapture that money." So that part right there, that's what started everything. That started when I got hurt. It started a really obsession with this product that the wealthy's been known for a long time. So
that's amazing. First of all, I didn't know you were a professional basketball player. That is awesome.
yeah, you know, when people see me, they look at my height and they're like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "I mean,
Hey,
you know."
I remember Spud Webb. That's all I'm going to say. Anybody that's shorter than I am, they can win a slam dunk contest. Let me tell you, height's not absolutely everything. But
Absolutely.
wow, thank goodness you learned those lessons, those money lessons early. I know that by far and large, the number of sports stars, even folks that we don't know on a day-to-day basis, come into all that cash. It doesn't come with an owner's manual, and
No.
they unfortunately leave the game, either through normal retirement or through injury or something else, and they end up with nothing. It's kind of like lottery ticket winners that they don't get instructions either. So it's very, very interesting that you went through that process, and thank goodness you're here with us,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
we do
absolutely.
get to benefit from that.
And just to your point, that process is magnified whenever there's a large sums, but we all go through it. I mean, most of us, we've been taught to use money a certain way, and we thought, and we still think, some of us, that is the only way. And whereas there's a whole nother world of money and uses and leverage and things like that. So I'm glad you brought that up.
So what you're saying is we don't have to have, six-figure monthly income or seven-figure monthly income to be able to exercise some of the tips and tricks that the wealthy have known for hundreds of years. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, you know what? There was I wish I could date it to the exact date this article came out, but it came out years ago in Forbes magazine, and it said from the time we're 18 to the time we're 65, at least $1 million is ran through our hands. And everybody thought that was the point of the article. But in the fine print, in the very small, it says some people have figured out ways to recapture that money. And when you're in the industry, you understand what they were talking about. When what they're saying is, look, if you would have been taught, if I would have been taught these strategies from the time we started making money, no matter what we did, we'd be set right now because we'd have a way to recapture all the money that's went through our hands.
That's amazing. I did the math on this. It's funny that you brought that up because I think the median household income now is around $75,000. And if you take
Hmm.
that over a 40-year career span, that's right at or pretty close to $3 million
Yeah.
that's flowing through our household. Yet people are more broke at the end of the month than they were at the beginning of the month. Well, let's talk about DCA or Diversified Cash Flow Account. First of all, what in the heck is it? It sounds like something that I can just go down to my local credit union or B of A branch and get set up. But obviously, it wouldn't be part of MWR if it wasn't something pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it?
It's interesting because when I talk to a lot of people in the financial space, the ones that we think are experts, maybe because of a title or maybe because of a position or a status, most of them have no idea. Like they're like, no, this doesn't sound right. But when I talk to the wealthy and people who have read books like What Would the Rockefeller Do and books like Becoming Your Own Banker, and they've taught their kids from a very young age to look, don't listen to what everybody else says. This is what you do. They're like, oh yeah, yeah, we've been doing that. So the DCA is basically a way to leverage money and still have access to the money. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier. For most of us, we've been taught to take money, and this is, I mean, for here's how I grew up, and I guess I can't speak for everybody, but you get a job, that money goes into your bank account. Once the money goes into your bank account, what comes next? Well, there's bills. You pay all the bills, and then you see what's left. You try to save some, but at the end of the every 2 weeks of the month, you start all over and you do the same thing. Well, what the DCA says is instead of blowing all your money, like I did, how about we set up a way to leverage your money and still have access to it? See, most of us have been, we remember compound interest. What is it? Einstein, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Wall Street has taught us that the only way to achieve compound interest is to take your money, put it in these 401ks, 403, put it in somewhere and let it sit, regardless of where it is. Just let it sit. Well, Mike, let me ask you something. If I let money sit in your account and you have access to it it just sits there for me and I can't touch it for years, you have the ability to do what? To
I'm going to use it for something.
absolutely. I challenged a lady. I was speaking at a convention and she says, no, my money stays at the bank. And I challenged her. I said, listen, take $100 bill, write your name on that $100 bill, and I want you to deposit it in your account. And I guarantee you'll never see that $100 again, because they understand that money has to be in motion. Money has to be in motion. I used to tell people this. I say, think about anything that we have in life that's not in motion. I mean, you wouldn't buy a home and say, you know what, I'm gonna let that home sit there for 30 years and I bet you it's gonna be a real nice home, right? I'm gonna come back in 30 years. You wouldn't buy a carton of milk and just let it sit. Everything is in motion. And so for us, they were telling us to take our money and leave it stagnant in order to get compound interest. But the reason is because it benefits Wall Street. And so what the DCA allows people to do is take advantage of compounding as well as taking advantage of having access to that money.
Now that sounds like a real magic trick to be able to put your money to work and get compound interest yet still have access to the money. No wonder the wealthy are keeping that secret because if everyone was doing that, then they wouldn't have access to our money because we would have access to our money. Well,
Exactly.
how does this flow? Is this like a super complicated process? Do I have to have $1 million to start? Uh, there's got to be a gotcha in here somewhere, Ike. That I mean, that smile on your face says no gotchas. This is a
Well,
no-brainer. It's just a
I
lack
started
of
I started
knowledge.
smiling because of the conversation we had beforehand, and
Yeah.
I think what happens is sometimes in order to keep something away from everybody, in order to keep it limited to a certain group, it make it confusing, right? And they make it to where no, it has to be too good to be what? True.
True. Yeah.
So then people like us that were never taught this, we hear about this and we see these things and we're like, oh no, no, it can't be true. Why? Because we don't know anybody that's been doing it, right? And so what happens is we pass on the same fairy tale to our kids. Hey, if it's too good to be true, listen, there's no way that's true. Um, but I always tell people this: 2 + 2 is 4, right? And 1 + 1 is 2. And math is always going to be math. So because of that, that's the best part about the DCA is it has nothing to do with it's a concept, but it has nothing to do with anything that can't be proven with math. And touching on a little bit of what you just said before as well, as far as them, they wanted our money to just sit there for years and years, and they have access to it, and we don't. Think about this, and I was looking at this the other day. I was looking at the U.S. debt clock, and which, by the way, there's only one time, and so for those of you guys that go to usdebtclock.org, and you see that red ticker symbol, you see it going up, going up, going up. So first of all, I always tell people this: never be ashamed of debt, because everybody's in debt, including the United States, right? So just don't be ashamed of it. Let's just figure out a plan to help get out, and that's what we can help with. But there's only one time that U.S. debt clock goes down. You know when that is, Mike?
Mm-mm.
It's
No.
April 15th. Now, what happens April
Oh,
15th?
you're
And
right.
it drops just a little bit, right? And well, why does it do it? Because I should say everybody, but most people are paying taxes. So think about this for a second. We're getting in debt at a high rate, and there's only one time, and obviously, if we figure it out, they're smart enough to figure out. They say, you know what? Hey, we know when to drop the U.S. debt. We take taxes. So if you think about that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know is taxes going up, staying the same, or going down in the future. All right. Well, we know it's probably going to go up. Now we're not for sure, but if I'm a bet man, I say it's probably going to go up. So take that in consideration and think about what happens whenever you defer taxes in a vehicle, and all this money is sitting there, and they're like, we need to knock down this debt. If I'm the government, if you're the government, look, we might be great people, but we know we have this money sitting there. We raise taxes just a little bit, take some of that, pay it, but it's at our expense. And that's why part of the diversified cash flow account, yes, compounding interest, yes, leverage money, but a lot of it is just having control, taking the control away from other people who have their best interests in mind and giving it back to us.
Okay, if I'm understanding this correctly, because I thought I had you. I was going to bring up the tax question. I thought I had you nailed. So what you're saying is we put our money to work, yet we still have access to it, and there's tax advantages at the same time?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I know that every person, every family that plugs into this, their situation is going to be a little bit different. But surely, my head's spinning. Surely this is complicated. I mean, to be able to exercise those three advantages, huge advantages in one product and one philosophy and one strategy, it's got to be a nightmare. Surely I'm going to have to take on a whole new education to get all this done. What does it take for me to say, all right, Ike, help me out with this?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. Some of the folks that we've talked to, we've partnered with, they've had 5 meetings with us. Some of them have 10. Some have. We're big on exactly what you just said, education. You know, if you've been riding a bike your whole life, and I give you the keys to a sports car, you're definitely gonna wreck.
It
You
would be a
know,
problem.
you're definitely gonna wreck. And if I tell you, if I don't show you what to do and then be there to guide you, even when you wreck, you're never gonna get back in the car again. So whenever we take this approach, and this is our why we partner with MWR, because we realize if we don't get the if first of all, if we don't educate the people and the people don't educate their people, means their kids, family members, friends, then who else is going to? I mean, you look at the Rockefellers were doing this. So if this secret's been kept that tight, then it's not getting out. So what all it takes is, number one, schedule an appointment, schedule a meeting. And you know what I get, Mike, from a lot of people? I get what you said earlier. Well, maybe I don't have $100,000 sitting here, or maybe my debt is so much that you all can't help me. I tell you what, 100% of the people that don't schedule an appointment, we can't help. That's for sure. But there's been people, and there was a few cases today. I didn't get the permission to say their names, so I'm not going to say it. But there was a lady we were talking to today, and she was so skeptical because of her situation. Her situation was so daunting that she said, "I just set this meeting just because my mentor told me to, and I just want to be coachable." Right? That was a few days ago. Today we got back with her, and this same person that was going to be in debt for 26 years, able to take her debt, her mortgage, everything from 26 years to 6.5 years. She was almost in tears today. Vice versa, there's people that have no debt, and they're coming in. They're like, "Hey, I'm in a situation right now to where I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to have a great retirement. I hear people saying things about these investment vehicles and things like that, but I don't have anybody helping me." And I said, "Well, let's take a look at what we could do." And that's where the education piece comes in. Our goal is not just to equip, but to educate. And when you educate, people feel empowered to be able to go on and make the right decisions for their family.
You know what's amazing, and looks like I jumped back on. I think we may have somebody on here with us. I'm not going to mention any names, but Brian House and I were having a conversation earlier today, and he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait until you hear what Ike says about linking the DCA strategy to our precious metals strategies and the program, especially that's coming up this year, because some of the things you said sound very similar to what David Wren was saying about being able to own the real money, which is precious metals, and somehow put those to work, yet still explain to me in layman's terms, if you can, how you can take these two strategies and bring them together and double dip, triple dip, quadruple dip, perhaps leveraging more tax advantage, leveraging more, well, just leverage. You're being able
You
to
said
put
it
your money to work twice and still not lose control."
multiple times. And you said the right word, leverage. Most of us, we're in a position right now to where the only way we're going to get to where we want to get to in life is we need leverage on top of leverage. And so there's two options for people when we're looking at where to put our money. Because when I look at the DCA, I think about a warehouse. Think about a warehouse where my money is going to be, to where I can get money from that warehouse and I can still have interest working for me. So when I was talking to Brian House about the precious metals and all the things that are coming out of MWR, I said, "You mean to tell me that you already and I'm not going to let the cat out, but most of you all know what's going on as far as the precious metals, but you have something lined up that is unbelievable, that's going to help people, whether they want to retire, whether they want to grow money. It's going to put them in a position that nobody else has. But on top of that, to prepare for that, you can take money, start putting in the DCA, leverage that money to leverage precious metal, to leverage the interest. I mean, when you do the math, and I had a meeting a few weeks ago with a group of real estate investors. I spoke at their convention, and one of the things that all successful real estate investors know is it's all about leverage. It's all about leverage. So it was not for them. It wasn't a question of leveraging money. It was a question of how much and when available. So looking at this same situation, one thing that I was telling Brian, I said, you know what, people need right now, they need to be preparing themselves for this. And Mike, we're better to prepare yourself for. I mean, most of the time, if you're going to put money, you only have a few options these days. You got a savings account, you got a checking. And again, if you want to put money somewhere and have access to it, you got a savings account, you have a checking account. You got under your mattress. You still put your money under your mattress? We got some people still put money under mattress, right? That mattress money. The challenge with all of those is once you take that money out, that money is no longer there and nothing's working. So even if I had money and I was saving it in a savings, I was saving a checking, I was saving it under my mattress. Once I take it out in order to benefit from all the great things coming with MWR, I'm starting all over. I'm hoping that I'm just banking on one thing. There's going to be people on here that leverage the DCA and then leverage the next thing, and then also leverage the next thing. And that's the purpose of it. The purpose is we're going to put our money somewhere anyway. How about we put it somewhere that's going to benefit us immediately?
Well, let me ask you before I get to some action items. I want to give everybody some action items tonight on what they can do over the next 24 to 48 hours to prepare, and maybe some little micro scripts, some little one sentence things that they can share with their friends and family, coworkers, people they know, and even people they don't know. But um, we're talking about multiple levels of leverage, and I know the skeptical mind, the impoverished mindset
Yep.
that we've learned over our lifetimes are thinking, okay, this is too good to be true. But even if it is true, there must be an insurmountable amount of risk with just the DCA. We'll take because Brian kind of exposed, the risk mitigation in the precious metals programs that are in the works right now. Let's talk about risk just with the DCA. Where's my risk?
Well, for those who are already in the position where they're skeptical, this is only going to make it worse because there's no risk. You can't lose money. And we're not. I tell people all the time, I don't have a license to help people lose money, even if I wanted to. So if we were to recap, number one, you have a vehicle to where you can leverage money. You have a vehicle to where you can't lose money. You can't lose it, and you have tax benefits from there. What the biggest risk, if somebody had to tell me it, like, what is, surely there has to be something. What's the biggest risk? The biggest risk is not educating yourself, right? Because a skeptical mind, what's the one thing to say? A man or woman convinced their will is still of the same opinion still. So I tell people, it's okay to be skeptical because I was skeptical. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's a difference between skepticism and cynicism, right? Cynicism is somebody who's they're not only skeptical, they've been burnt, and they don't want to give anything else a try. They're done, and not only are they done, but anybody else that comes in contact with them, they ruin it for them too. But they have no idea. Skepticism says, "Show me, and I'll learn. Teach me, and I'll grow." And that's what I would say to those people.
That is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean the meters are all pegged right now on, come on, man.
Yeah.
But all right. So let's have some action steps. In MWR's membership portal in the back office, there's a button that says DCA that we can schedule a consultation. We can talk to you or a member of your team and learn a little bit more about this. Um, what are the steps involved? What information do people need to come prepared with so that you're not just giving them other instructions?
Yep.
and what can they expect upon an initial conversation?
Yep. Great question. So the first step is to book a meeting. And I wouldn't worry about bringing anything, any financial piece, no, don't worry about all that. Just book the meeting because what we're going to do is we're first going to connect with you because I want everybody to know. I mean, I was in so much debt at one point, Mike, that I felt like there was no way out. And so I always tell people if it's debt, there's no embarrassment here. We've like I said, the U.S. debt clock. Just look at that if you feel ashamed of debt. So the first thing we're doing is we're gonna connect with the person to make sure they understand that we're all in the same boat. Second thing is we're gonna figure out what the situation is. Hey, what are your goals? Because the whole purpose of us being here is to help you achieve your goals. Because we know if we can help you achieve your goals, guess what? You're gonna tell other people about this incredible service. You're gonna tell other people about MWR, and it's only going to help you, and it's going to help everybody else. So then, after we figure that out, then we're gonna educate you. We're gonna take a step-by-step approach of teaching you and expanding. And again, we're doing all this in about 15 minutes, by the way, at the first meeting, because we want you to leave the first meeting saying, "Huh, maybe this may work," right? And then from there, we're going to set another meeting, assuming that your situation and our conversation fits your goals. We're going to set another meeting, and in that meeting, it's going to be longer. And that meeting is where we're going to dive more into your current financial situation. And what our goal is going to be is to show you, because it's easy for me to talk about somebody else that was in debt for 25 years and moved to 6 years, talk about somebody else that didn't know if they were going to retire. And that it's easy for me to say that. But when you see your numbers, like when you look and you see these are my numbers, again, 2 + 2 = 4, 1 + 1, when you see your numbers, you know at that point that it doesn't matter what anybody else says because the math is right here and you see that. And I tell people this all the time. If there was a one solve fix all, then we would have it. But what we do is we start with the education, we start with connecting, we look at your situation, and 9 out of 10 people are satisfied. Every once in a while, there's a situation that doesn't work out, right? And that's okay though, because there's other things that are meant for that person.
Wow. 9 out of 10. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so they're not bringing their social security number. They're not bringing their bank statements. They're not
Nope.
bringing their credit cards. They're not bringing any of that information. This is not like going and sitting down with a manager at the car
Right.
dealership, where there's this big high pressure situation. You start with a simple conversation and education to teach people a little bit more about what this strategy is, the products that are involved. Um, I mean, goodness gracious, the only thing that can come out of it is a plan. The only thing that can come
That's
out
it.
of it is enlightenment. I don't see how disappointment can come out of it. I don't see how tragedy can come out of this. All right, last thing, because we're going to have some very excited people. We've got record attendance on this live stream right now. And uh, there's a lot of excited people out there right now, very intrigued by this because you have not set any floor to the qualifications of being able to utilize this product. I think that's very, very important. You could have a lot of income, a little income, a lot of debt, no debt. You could be ready for retirement. You could be not ready for retirement. These are tools that are available that the wealthy have known about forever, and they're like, "Shh, don't tell anybody. This
Yeah.
is our little secret." So, what would you, when people ask, or when they're asked the question, "What is it?" I'm going to get all fired up, and I'm going to talk to my brother, and he's going to say, "Well, what are you talking about? What is it?" It's one of those things. Uncle Ned tried one of those. It doesn't work. Arm us with a 1 or 2 sentence explanation as to what we can tell people, even if that is, call this number and find out. What's the
Yeah.
best way to proceed when people are peppering us with questions, especially family?
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about family, Mike, I don't know about yours, but if I answer one question, they expect me to answer multiple questions, right? But if I'm talking to them, if I'm talking to them and I say, well, I tell you what, I don't really know for sure, but I'm gonna tell you who does know. And so here's what I would leave people with the question. So there's if you're right, if you're driving, if you here's the questions that there's two questions that we ask people and we teach people to ask, because if you could ask this question to somebody and get the response, they're going to want to know more and they're going to want to go toward the source. And so the question I usually will ask people is this. The first question is, if there was a way you can pay off all your debt, including your mortgage, in 9 years or less without spending any extra money, would you want to know about that? Now, I don't know about you, but if somebody asked me that question, if there's a way you can pay off all your debt in 9 years or less, including your mortgage, without spending any extra money, would you want to know about that? It's kind of hard to say no to that.
If they said no, you say, thank you for letting me know. I'll be on my way because I don't need I don't need to stay this close to you. That's,
Exactly.
I love, you know what? That is absolutely the perfect form of question. If there was a way to do X without Y, in other words, if there was a way to pay off all of your debt in 9 years or less without spending any more money, would you want to know more?
Yep.
Absolutely. See, I'm already trained.
You got it. You got it.
You
See, I'm
trained
fast.
me in just a few seconds. And if I can figure it out, trust me, our members and our marketing directors can figure that out. Okay, well, you know what? We're right at the bottom of the hour. I promised you and I promised our listeners we wouldn't hold them here for long. This is this is beyond simple. I know that we've probably created more questions than we answered, but we also told you exactly what to do with those questions, and that is to schedule a consultation and talk to Ike and his team and learn a little bit more about how this can apply to your situation. Is there anything else that you would like to let us know before we close out?
Well, the one thing I would say, because I talked to Mr. Brian House today, and the one thing I'll say is this company this company is moving, right? I mean, I every single time I talk to him, I get fired up, and the reason I get fired up is because I take a look at what this company does, and whenever you have a situation where nobody else is doing it, nobody else is doing it. Everybody else is trying to make people the expert. Nobody else is doing it. And you have a market the size, the size that we have right now of people who are not getting educated, not getting help, getting in debt. You have people that are steering people the wrong way when it comes to investments. I look at it and I say it's only a matter of time. So the last thing I would say to everybody is know that you're in the right place at the right time, and just let's get busy.
That's awesome. Thanks again so much, Ike. It's been an absolute pleasure. I cannot believe the last 30 minutes went by just
It did
like
go by
that.
fast. Yeah.
So super fast. I expect everyone out there to fill up Ike's inbox with consultation requests. Just go to your back office and go to the legacy strategies. You'll see the link there to diversified cash flow account. Just click on it, follow the instructions. That is your first step. And don't forget the magic question that Ike trained us all to ask. If there was a way to pay off your mortgage and all your other debt in 9 years or less without spending any more money,
You got it.
would you want to know more? Just like that.
Just
Uh,
like that.
you know what? I didn't even have to write that down.
Not at all.
That is so simple. Thanks again, Ike. Get back to your family. We appreciate you more than you know, and I hope to make you super, super busy over the next few weeks. And by the way, folks, just a little teaser. We have another call that we're scheduling for Monday evening to talk a little bit more about the precious metals program that is coming up real soon. Progress is being made. And if Ike's excited about it, I'm excited about it. And I don't know what he knows, but I know that if he's smiling, I've got reason to smile too. So with that, we'll see you guys all on Monday night, if not sooner. Until then, as Ike said, let's get busy. Thanks again, sir.
Absolutely appreciate it.